Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, JKUAT, has embraced e-learning for all the students since the closure of all learning institutions in the country in March this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite the challenges brought about by the effects of the pandemic and in line with the Ministry of Education, the institution has embraced online admission of new students, installation of automated hand-washing machines and water taps across the school to prepare for next year to resume physical class attendance. JKUAT had planned to reopen in September before the Ministry of Education directed that all higher learning institutions be reopened in January 2021. Dickens Luvanda had a chat with the Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academic Affairs and prepared this report for us.
And we have come to a unanimous consensus that it is fair and just to keep these institutions closed until January of 2021.
Before this announcement on July 30th, after a consultative meeting with stakeholders, the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, JKUAT, was ready to resume normal learning operations in September in conformity with the COVID-19 containment guidelines. The university, which has a student capacity of slightly over 24,000, had already rearranged lecture halls and student hostels for social distancing purposes, installed water taps for hand washing, and increased the capacity of thermal guns for measurement of temperatures of students, staff, and visitors.
It came as a shocker, and we thought it was a short time thing, which will just end in a few days or a few months' time. So we just asked the students to go home and wait for recalling back. We're almost finishing the first semester of January. We normally call it the January to April semester.
According to the Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academic Affairs, Professor Robert Kinyua, the university has shifted most of the programs to online, including access to school library, examinations, and even graduation plans.
Now that the whole university required e-learning, we got into other challenges because now we have about 324 academic programs on offer. You can imagine the infrastructure was for 13 programs. Now we have 300 programs to teach online. If we are able to do these examinations this September, as we are planning, maybe some online examinations, we should be able to graduate our students in November online.
The institution is also conducting online admission of new students despite COVID-19. Just like other learning institutions, some of the challenges that JKUAT is facing is the fact that students have not been paying school fees despite e-learning since the closure of the university. Expansion of lecture halls and hostels to fit the large population of students will be another nightmare if schools were to reopen in September. This lecture hall will normally host up to 50 students, but due to the COVID-19 guidelines, it can only handle half of that. This probably answers the questions as to why education stakeholders led by Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha reiterated that many universities are not ready for reopening in the context of the health guidelines on COVID-19, hence the need to adopt online learning prior to face-to-face sessions in January 2021.
My team will continue to inspect these institutions to ensure that they keep on getting ready.
Despite the many challenges brought about by the pandemic, Professor Kinyua agrees that COVID-19 has opened the doors of innovation for the institution, which is now producing face masks and hand sanitizers in an aim to boost the fight against the global pandemic.
None of our staff has been affected by this COVID. We don't have any case of an infection, unless one I do not know about.
The Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology is one of the higher learning institutions in the country, which has been able to implement and put in place measures in fighting COVID-19, including putting up this automatic hand washing machine, which is able to measure your temperature and be able to produce water and soap at the same time to enable people who are entering, especially students, to know their temperatures and be able also to wash their hands to keep coronavirus at bay.
Dickens